Hello everyone. So far we have been using the auto-generated REST endpoints. Today we'll try to create our own custom REST endpoint and use it to call our function. So let's dive straight into the coding part. I am using an existing model. Let's use the account model that I created in the last video. So we'll be creating a custom REST endpoint that will return sum of two numbers. It's a very simple endpoint. It will take two numbers as the input and return the sum of the two numbers in the output. Okay, so to do that, first we need to create a function in the JS file. So I'll create a function named sum equal to function. It will take two arguments, number one and number two, and return a callback. Let the sum be equal to number one plus number two. Once the sum is calculated, we'll return the sum and the callback. So that's it, a simple function that is calculating the sum of two numbers and returning it. Now to call this function from a REST endpoint, what we need to use is something called as a remote method. So a remote method is provided by Loopback, the syntax. So this API is responsible for exposing our function via REST endpoint. To do that, we'll create a remote method and the syntax is account.modelname.remote method followed by the function that you are trying to call. So my function name is sum here, you can see. So I have written sum here, followed by the arguments that this endpoint requires. So those arguments are these. So it starts with accepts, it accepts and two arguments. So we will create an array. The first argument name is num1 and its type is number. So I'll write number here. And again, second argument is also of the same type. We'll just with the different name, we'll make it number2. So we have used an array containing two JSONs, argument1 and argument2. So our API will accept these two arguments. Next is the returns part. So we are saying our API will return again an argument of name as sum and type as number. And the final part is the REST endpoint verb and the path that we want to use. So to do that, again, we'll add a new key named HTTP, which takes a key verb. We will make it a get call. So we'll write get here, followed by the path. Let's make the path as slash sum. And finally, an optional parameter that is description. So description can be any string, custom endpoint to find sum of two numbers. So that's it. So we have created a remote method sum. It's accepting two arguments, returning one argument. It will be called by get call via path slash sum, and we have added a description so that's it's visible in Swagger easily. So we'll start the Explorer. it started. So let's see our endpoint is visible or not now. So in account model, we can see an endpoint account sum, custom endpoint to find sum of two numbers, custom endpoint to find sum of two numbers. The description is there. So the two arguments num1, num2, num1 and num2 of type numbers. So data type is also visible. Add number one, number two, and try it out. See, we got a response which is the sum of two numbers. So it took two arguments, number one and number two, and returned the sum of two numbers. And that's what we wanted. So that's it. We have created a custom REST endpoint that we can use to call any function. So this was a basic tutorial, so I have used a simple function, but for actual use cases, you can make this function as complex as you want and expose it via remote method. That's it for now. Thank you.